What's going on? Welcome again to the Party on Fifth Avenue podcast. Matt Fargo with a very special guest, former WWE superstar, current commentator, Corey Graves joins me, and so glad that you're joining me here at a perfect place to join me. St. Vincent College, the site of the Pittsburgh Steelers camp as we get ready for the 2023 season, and thanks for jumping on the podcast.
It's a perfect place. It's a perfect day. The last time I was at training camp was probably 20 years ago. I came with my family, and I remember being so sweltering hot that I never wanted to come again. But thankfully, things have changed. The environment is cooperating. It's beautiful. The energy here is awesome. I'm happy to be here.
And while the intro is important, it can't go without saying Gateway grad, Pittsburgh's own, being able to still be here and be from Pittsburgh and now moving back and living here, how important was that to you to come back to your hometown?
I like to say that I'm not a yinzer of convenience. I'm actually full bore, dyed in the wool, a Pittsburgher at heart. I was away for about 11 years. I moved to Tampa, and my WWE career took me up to Connecticut. When the opportunity presented itself to come back home, I jumped at it. I even convinced my beautiful wife to leave her expensive condo on Fort Lauderdale Beach for Lawrenceville, but that's where we reside, and I love being a part of the city and everything. It's even better than I remembered when I left.
Little bit different view in Fort Lauderdale than the banks of the Ohio River, but
I don't necessarily know how much time I want to spend in the water when I'm down on the Allegheny or the Mon, but it's still a nice place to take a boat ride.
It's fitting that we're here at Steelers training camp, and a lot of players after their career go into broadcasting, and you kind of followed that track record. How has that move been for you to now be on the other side and get to wear the headset?
At the time, it was such a heartbreaking experience. I'd worked my entire life to be a WWE superstar, and I sort of flirted with it. I had the opportunity to tour and step in the ring with some of the best, including your Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. I've competed against all of them. But when the opportunity was presented to try my hand at color commentary, I didn't have high hopes. I didn't have high expectations. I went, I'm wrestling, not a broadcaster. And thankfully, I've had a great team around me as we grow and learn. And I get my Google is the greatest of all time, in my opinion. And I've had a lot of people around to support me and make this transition comfortable where I'm having fun, man. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I look at things where hopefully I can be a WWE commentator for 15, 20 years. My body would have given up on me eventually at some point. So to be in that seat and to help tell everybody else's stories and kind of be the liaison from what's happening in the ring to the people sitting at home enjoying it, it's a great honor that I take very seriously, and I have more fun than anybody.
It is a fun gig, but at the same time, I think a lot of people watching at home think they could do it. They have any sport, you have those armchair quarterbacks where they think they could break things down. What was the biggest surprise to you moving over from the broadcast side that was maybe more difficult than you thought?
I didn't realize, having watched wrestling my entire life, that at any given moment, you've got 3 to 5 different voices coming into your headset while you're trying to speak. So I could be in the middle of a thought, and if you watch some of my early work back in NXT or even when I got first called up to Raw, there were times where I'd be in the middle of a sentence and I'd just freeze because it's not natural to intake information as you're trying to spout it out at the same time. Luckily, I've gotten a little more competent at it, but when you hear, the proverbial voice of God in one ear, then you hear your producer in the other, and you have to listen to your partner. Oh, and by the way, the guys or girls in the ring are probably talking, and that's important too. So you have to really understand all the traffic, and that's where it all comes in. A lot of people know a lot about wrestling, and I'm sure there are people that know more about WWE than I do. But I would be willing to bet money 99% of them couldn't do what we have to do.
It's definitely true.
Right?
I think it's one of those challenges where you were talking about the fact that you didn't know that you were going to be a broadcaster, and of course, your career being cut short. I knew very well on that I wasn't going to do anything athletic, so I needed a microphone a little bit faster. But we're now recording this. We're giving away our trade secrets here, but recording this, what is going to be really, you're living a yinzer's dream this week, being at Steelers training camp, and then tomorrow you're going to go to the Pirate game and throw out the first pitch. That for any Pittsburgher has to be on the bucket list, and I have to imagine it's on.
The only thing left for me to do is lace up a pair of skates and take across the ice with Sidney Crosby. I mean, this is...
Maybe make that up.
I know, right? I'm saying that. I'm trying to manifest that.
There we go.
This is a dream come true. I mean, like I said, I've been to St. Vincent before, and I'm a diehard Steelers fan. The Pirates game, this is extra special for me because as much cool stuff as I've had a chance to experience through my WWE career, being around the world and have had a chance to meet such incredible people, being a yinzer at heart, heading to the best baseball park in America Yes, I'm serious. The Truth, PNC Park, best baseball park in America. I've been to most of them. Trust me, I still stand by that. But to be able to throw out the first pitch for your home team, I mean, what kid growing up doesn't dream of that? The only thing that would have been different is I would have actually thrown about 7 innings on the mound, but I never was blessed with that sort of ability. So I'm just hoping right now I've got one strike in me. I never had the professional baseball career, but I think I might have one strike.
Did you go through any preparation? You thinking about everything?
I took my son over to Arsenal Park in Lawrenceville yesterday, as a matter of fact, and spent about an hour just loosening up, because at my age now, it takes a day and a half to loosen up. I'm not in that wrestler shape that I used to be. So I made sure that I was at least maintaining some semblance of control. I had him on second base and I was standing behind home, so I was kind of doing it in reverse. But I feel like we got the distance measured out. I should be all right. Knock on wood. That would be the worst in the history of baseball.
Well, I don't know if you can do that.
That's true.
50
cent
still out there. So hopefully, for your sake, that doesn't happen. We're talking about the Steelers and the Pirates, but you mentioned the Penguins. You a fan of all Pittsburgh sports, so you enjoy them all, and maybe if you had to pick one, if you can't, if two have to go away.
I refuse to narrow things down to just one. I am a Pittsburgh sports fan. Include the Penguins in that, and I want to lump in the Riverhounds, because that's a new thing that I just was exposed to about a month ago. Took my family down to Station Square and watched the game at Highmark. Had an absolute blast. But it's ultimately, you've been around here enough, and anybody who has spent any time in Pittsburgh knows what an amazing sports city it is. And the atmosphere is second to none. Steelers, Penguins in particular, because they have great success. We're waiting on the Pirates. Mark my words. When the Pirates finally figure it out, and I don't think they're that far off, when they get all the pieces in place, when the Pirates make a playoff run, that is going to be an atmosphere that people in Pittsburgh will be talking about for years and years and years, like they still are about the Cueto game.
And that was one of the most iconic.
I'm telling you, I was in Tampa.
Ever.
I'm a yinzer, man. You can take the kid. What is it? Take the kid out of Pittsburgh. You can't take the Pittsburgh out of the kid.
There's no question about that. So I won't make you pick, but as far as teams, but if there was a position on another sports team, if you had a chance to lace it up one game for one of the 3-4 professional sports teams in Pittsburgh, which one are you picking?
Ooh, this is tough.
And which position?
Now we're going to narrow it down.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, if I did have to choose, I'm a baseball guy. I played baseball growing up. That has always been my number one sport beyond the world of wrestling. And I'd like to try my hand at the hot corner. Back then, like 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, I think I could have handled third for maybe like 1 inning.
All right. WWE Payback is coming to PPG Paints Arena, one of the biggest events back at PPG. How excited are you to see this come back to Pittsburgh?
I'm always excited anytime WWE comes to Pittsburgh. This time it's a premium live event. And if you've been paying attention, our crowds lately have been on a whole different level. It started last summer when we were over in Cardiff, Wales. It's like that was when they first lit the fuse. And the crowds keep getting bigger and hotter and louder and more passionate. We were in Puerto Rico for Backlash a few months ago, and I swear to God, I thought the roof of the arena was going to blow off. I say that all the time, right? That's an old sports euphemism. I was genuinely concerned. I was like, this place is actually rocking right now. We just did Ford Field for SummerSlam. They brought it. I want to see what Pittsburgh can do. Pittsburgh, I'm going to tell you a little secret. In WWE, Pittsburgh is a highly beloved city because you guys always come out in full force. We sell lots of tickets. The people are passionate, but you're not loud. I want to see, I called you out at SummerSlam. I want to see what Pittsburgh can bring, how high we can raise the energy level inside PPG Paints Arena, because I think we can get that same roof rocking environment with a little motivation.
You want that Johnny Cueto PNC Park.
Exactly. I want whichever superstar you're rooting against to mess up and drop the proverbial baseball in the ring. I want to see what Pittsburgh can actually do at a WWE event when they're at 11.
Now that you're on the broadcast side, have you developed more of a WWE fandom of being able to appreciate things from outside the ring?
It's definitely a different perspective. And now I do appreciate sort of the big picture, the flow of the entire show, what match follows. I've learned more about this business than I ever would have known being an internet competitor. I've learned the TV side of things. I'm curious about every aspect from ticket sales to how they structure the entrance ways and the logistics of all that. I'm learning constantly. And that's been the coolest thing that's been afforded to me after stepping out of the ring was all the opportunity and realizing just how much goes into your standard WWE live event, let alone a pay-per-view, let alone something the magnitude of a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania. You really get to appreciate how big the machine is and how many working parts and how many amazing people it takes just to make a normal TV show to the fans sitting at home.
I think that it's interesting. There's so many people in Pittsburgh, in the world of sports, WWE included, that have made it coming out of Pittsburgh. You can take yourself back to your days at Gateway and know way your career would end up playing out. What would you tell that kid, knowing that what you know now and what your career would be?
I would only change one thing, and that being I would have told my younger self to enjoy it. I feel like I was such a grinder. My nose to the grindstone hustle. Okay, no time to enjoy what you're doing because there's always time for something else. It's time to move on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And I look back, and I've been with WWE for about 12 years now. And I've truly been around the world 2 or 3 times, and I still feel like I haven't seen a thing. I would have definitely told my younger self, just take a breath, take it all in. No matter where you're at, survey the scene, survey the situation. Whatever city you're in, find a local restaurant. Sort of do the Anthony Bourdain thing and really savor where you're at. Because I've got to travel to places that I never in a million years thought I was going to be. And aside from the airport, the hotel, and the arena, I haven't seen too much. So if I had to give myself some advice, that would be the only thing. Just enjoy the ride.
Soaking it in, where would be the number one place you want to go back to and soak it in?
Oh my God. That's so hard. People ask me that all the time. What's your favorite city to travel to? And it depends. It depends on kind of what I'm in the mood for. I've got some of my favorite bars in the world in Houston or North Carolina here and there. I think Vancouver's an amazing city. I love, at this point, this is going to sound insane. I love going to Saudi Arabia. The food is incredible and the people, and they take such great care of us, and the architecture. It's such an amazing place. I would love to spend more time in Japan. I got to visit there for a cup of coffee. So I'm answering your question with really a non-answer. I think I would have better answers for you had I taken my own advice as I was younger and said, oh no, just enjoy it. So I'm trying. It's an active thing I'm working on to try to be more present wherever I'm at.
It's a true thing, because I can even take from my own experiences in touring. I've been to Saudi Arabia as well. I totally agree with you.
Not bad, right?
Like, no, it's not. I mean, you say Saudi Arabia, and people are like, but it is an incredible place. The people are so welcoming.
Right.
And I think that it is a point where if I turn that question on myself, and I'm like, it is a kind of a, well, am I going for food? Am I going for culture? Am I going for architecture? I mean, the answer could be all over the map.
And that's the coolest thing, to get to experience it under the WWE banner, because it's almost like you have a built-in family wherever you go. You know that people are excited to see you and celebrate WWE coming to their town. And you realize the passion. You feel it. You get to engage with the people. And you may only come to their town once a year or maybe every other year, but you know when they have the opportunity to see what we do, they come out in full force, and we all have fun. Not just the people on the outside of the barricade, people in the ring, the people in the production truck, and certainly Michael Cole or Kevin Patrick or myself sitting next to the ring.
Is it fun to see the maturation process of what the WWE has become in your career? Like, that has to be bizarre, the way that it has developed and quickly.
It's insane to me. I think back to what I watched as a child and how different yet similar it is. The spirit remains the same, but the growth and just the magnitude. I remember the first time we stepped into a stadium for a show I personally stepped into a stadium was for WrestleMania. Now we're doing 5 or 6 stadiums every year. SummerSlam's a stadium. We did Cardiff, Wales last year. It keeps growing and growing and growing. And like I said before, it's been the passion recently from the fans, where it seems almost silly that it's taken this long, that the fans finally became self-aware. Like they went, oh, wait a minute. We can be part of the show. All we have to do is sing, or all we have to do is chant, or whoa with Cody. And it's like everybody got the memo at the same time. And it's made for just the environment and atmosphere has been so much more fun than it always has been. And to look back from, like I said, when I grew up a fan of, to see where we're at now, I've grown up personally within WWE. I mean, I was a man, but I feel like I was a kid when I got here. And I've learned just so much about not only WWE and the entertainment business, but I've matured as a human being. I mean, I met my wife here at WWE. We're about to have a baby.
Yeah.
A WWE, I guess he'll technically be like 3rd generation, because my father-in-law was a wrestler and my wife is a wrestler.
Wow.
And so we'll see. I mean, it truly has kind of become a family business, which is crazy.
And now, like, taking over that, when you were handed, like, your first opportunity, did you ever think that it was going to become what it is? And are you able to, turn that switch on and off now, whereas maybe it was a little bit more difficult to do in your own career?
I mean, I think I always aspired to be a WWE superstar. In fact, I know I always aspired to it. But it's like anybody who has big dreams, whether it be playing in the NFL or playing Major League Baseball. It seems a little far-fetched. And for a kid from outside of Pittsburgh to grow up and say, you know what, someday I'm going to be a WWE superstar. And it was weird. It was like I was taking these steps and I didn't realize it. It just seemed like the natural progression. Oh, here I am in England wrestling somebody I used to watch on TV. Oh, what am I doing in Japan in a death match? I don't know. Insanity. But it was all these baby steps getting toward the ultimate goal. So I can't say that I knew it was going to happen, but I feel as though if you talk to anybody, not more so than the guys in the field right now, you have to kind of have that belief in yourself, and you have to have a good support system. Otherwise, yeah, it is a pipe dream. It is impossible. But if you believe in yourself, it sounds cliche, but that's arguably the most important aspect of it.
We've talked Steelers, we've talked Pirates, we've talked Penguins, we've talked WWE. We got to talk one of the biggest things that Yinzers like to talk about, and that's food.
Okay.
What is your place to go? This is putting you on the spot.
This is very
in Pittsburgh.
On the ride out here, my friend from WWE and our driver and my wife, we were all having this sort of conversation where we're recommending places that we've never been to one another. It's next to impossible to pick. But living in Lawrenceville, I've got a few favorites. The Abbey on Butler Street is a go-to. My wife and I frequent that. So if you're ever hoping to run into Corey and Carmella, just go hang out and have a cocktail at the Abbey. Let me think. Dianoia's in the Strip. The Gnocchi at Dianoia's to die for. Lot 17 in Bloomfield. It's more or less, you can pick me a neighborhood and I'll tell you where I go. I've got spots everywhere.
That's good stuff.
And I think I probably eat out enough in Pittsburgh that it's a detriment because my wife's constantly yelling at me going, I can cook, And I was like, yeah, but there's so many different places to try. It's amazing that when I moved away in 2011, I don't think the culinary excellence was quite at the level that it is now. And it seems like every week there's something new to open up, something new to try. I mean, there's food trucks, there's breweries everywhere. Like, got a lot more work to do.
And you go into Permane Brothers, what do you get?
I do the Capicola. Capicola is always my go-to, yeah. And that's it. I still believe it is sacrilege to do it with any sort of edit. If there's no coleslaw on it, it's not Permane's. If there's no fries on it, just go home. You're not even allowed in. I'm pretty sure that's on the books. It's a law. So don't edit it. Just enjoy it.
That's absolutely. Hey, Corey, thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. And of course, you can catch WWE Payback at PPG Paints Arena on September the 2nd. And we will have more. Of course, you can get tickets at ppgpaintsarena.com. And
Hurry. No, there probably aren't many left.
There aren't. And we'll be right back on this edition of the Party on Fifth Avenue podcast. Stick around.